information discussed on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money. More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Good morning, everyone. This is not Jeff Tarbell, although he is sitting here to the right.
My right, your left.
Handsome and debonair.
I got my painting gear on, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's got his jammies on still, actually.
This is your opening. Go ahead.
Then we have Nick Perjanik over here in the house.
Good morning, John. I was gonna do the intro to the show, and then at the last minute, Jeff said, "Okay, who's gonna do it, John or Nick?" And I said, I don't know your last name, and Favre?
Fod, just Fod.
Let's just say, what is
John
it?
at johnfod.com. Just Fod.
Fod.
F-O-D.
John Fod.
I'll make it easy on you guys.
Got it. Good morning.
Brett Favre. Favre.
Here we are, 2013.
This is the first show at 13? Why is
This
my
is the
microphone
first show.
spinning to the right here? I'm all spinsy. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
No, last week was the 20. Oh, yeah, you're right. Damn.
2013.
I can't keep my microphone straight. I don't know what's going on here. How are you doing?
That's a good way to start the new year.
It's just how it goes. Are you done with your opening there? Look at.
Well, you got problems.
I do. I got the spinsies going on here, something like that. I'm like that pilot you were talking about. Maybe I should still be drinking before.
That's
I
right. Not a good way for an American Eagle pilot to start off the day. 6 a.m. passes TSA. They smell alcohol in his breath. He's out there doing his pre-flight check, and he gets arrested for DUI.
The problem is he was hurling. When you bend over to look at the wheels and you start puking, that is not a good sign your pilot's going to have a good day.
No, not a good way to fly into New York.
I got to fly pretty soon too on a long flight, so I hope our pilot is drunk because I'm going to be. I'm not.
They got autopilot. They push a button.
I know. Yeah, you just fire the engine up, hit the start, hit the.
Make sure the pre-check is okay, and we're good.
Hit the cruise control. Yeah, start drinking after you get in the plane. Don't get in there. We are back, Jack. How are you? Happy New Year. This is Talkin' Money for 2013. As I was, so to give you a little perspective, when I first started this show, my twin daughters were going into first grade. Last night, I'm in the parking lot at Granite Bay High School, teaching one of those said twin daughters how to drive a 3/4 ton four-wheel drive pickup truck around without running anybody over.
That's why you got the 3/4 ton truck.
Yeah, that's right. That's why. So. I started thinking, and I was actually having a pretty good time. When I taught my first daughter, my oldest daughter, to drive, I wasn't having such a good time. And I'll be honest, I made some significant changes between the first girl, our oldest, who is now going to be almost 17, so there's 2 years difference. And I said, I'm not going to scare the living hell out of myself again like that, at least entirely. So I made the twins go over to RPM and just start driving the carts. Get used to gas brake, steering, movement. Those kind of things too.
Banging in other cars.
Because bouncing off things.
I'm not sure if that's the last time I went there. We did that. We did the radio show, and we told listeners that if they showed up, we'd pay for them the race, and if they beat us, we'd give them ski lift tickets or something.
Yeah.
Well, I made the mistake of getting out of there and getting into my Porsche at the time. I had a Porsche. I'm telling you what, driving a 928
like a bat out of hell
after you've been in a go-kart is not the same thing. So
I think brushing a few people off of I-50 there on the way home was not their best idea.
Anyway, so it helped.
I think that it does help, so you look back is we didn't have any girls in our family growing up. It was basically me and my brother, and I hung around with a bunch of boys. Well, by the time a boy, in many cases, is 14 or 15 years old, hell, they've been driving stuff. They've been
motorcycles, go-karts,
right, riding lawnmowers. They've probably stolen Dad's truck once already and smacked it into the cows. All the things that you get used to do. So by the time you actually start driving, well, you're used to that movement. And for me, the girls haven't done a lot of that. I mean, dancing doesn't make you a better driver. Shocker. So, but anyway, getting them in I think in those go-karts and doing a few things is pretty helpful, I think, getting used to that too. But I'm sitting there thinking.
You make them wear a helmet when they're doing that?
In a go-kart?
No, in the 3/4
Oh, well, I wear a helmet.
That's what I was figuring.
I got out of the car to get around. And she goes, and my Amanda says, "You're getting back in the car, aren't you?" And I said, "Hell no, I'm standing over here by the fence.
I want to watch.
I'm gonna be way away where I can't get hit." So no, she did fine. It is fun, and I'm thinking, she's like, "Well, so I made her back up this. Basically it's a long bed. It's a big truck. It's not the easiest thing to learn to drive. I made her kind of start backing up. And so this is what you have to do if you're gonna ever hook up a boat, because their sisters, they want to go boating, but they want her to learn to drive and pull the boat. And so she's already got it figured out. She's gonna be the pro. So
Nice.
I don't know where they're gonna get a boat, but anyway, if she ever finds one, they can tow it behind something else. So that was my Friday night there, at the high school. Good times, I think. Maybe that's why I didn't sleep so good last night. Just look at the,
You didn't have any margaritas?
No. I'm on the wagon there till we leave on our trip. So how are you guys doing? We got a lot of. I think we do a little real estate stuff today. We actually haven't done any, a kind of a concentrated effort on what's going on around us, mortgage-wise and real estate-wise. And there's a lot of things that coming, and some things that have been extended. And I'm already getting the text today, too. Yeah, let me give out the numbers because I am lax to do that. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Or you can text us at 441140. We are giving away some ski passes to
Sierra at Tahoe.
I think I'm going to go up tomorrow and check it out.
I was up Saturday, Sunday. It was very nice.
Was it? Expecting a little bit of snow, I think, in the morning. And my last adventure there didn't go so well because partly I didn't get out of the parking lot with my gear on. So that might be I'm actually going to go this time fully loaded, actually just fully dressed with my skis on.
That's a good idea.
I'm just going to have my
with an extra key in your back pocket.
I'll stand on the rack, put my skis in the rack, and just stand there, have my daughter drive me up there, and we'll just be ready to go. I am not getting locked out. Yeah, an extra key would be helpful. So we'll give away that stuff. We got some quiz questions we will do. So what happened between? So our last show was the 29th.
Right, we were talking about the fiscal cliff.
Okay, and I would have bet money, a fair sum of money, that I'd have bet a whole bag of chocolate chip cookies
wasn't
there.
Gonna be signed.
That was not going to be resolved.
Right.
Not that it would. I didn't think that it would be resolved. I think that it would, but I thought they'd be into the first week, and get a little more panic time going. But
well, your president took got everybody back in, shortened his vacation for a minute, and then flew back to Hawaii to continue.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's okay. But like always, and like all political parties, both sides, they resolved nothing for the most part.
A little Band-Aid.
Nothing was done. In fact, you look at this. Hold on a second here. Where there's a here it is right here. So you look at this little box. And I'll show, because on the radio this works so well. But you guys can see. So you see the big box, the big gray box.
Yes.
Then you see the little dark one in the corner. So the big gray box is our problem. This is our deficit, and this is the little dark box in the corner. And I would say that's about 1/8 of the maybe 1/16 of the box. This is how much we accomplished by raising the taxes on everybody and all the things that we said we were going to do. We got the little dark box figured out. The problem is we got 15/16 of the big gray box of the deficit we haven't addressed yet.
Moving forward.
There you go. So we did what we promised we were going to do. We stuck it to the rich, and those rich bastards are going to pay.
Yes.
And they're going to pay.
Sure.
And as John was mentioning before the show started today, guess what?
Everybody's paying.
Everybody's going to pay, and because who was griping at you about the Social Security?
Yeah, the Social Security going up back to the normal.
It's not going. Yeah, it's not going up. It's
right.
going to what it was.
2%. So 2%. Everybody's getting their paychecks the other day, and they're going, "I'm short." Well, no, this is what it should be, and 2% could be $20, could be $200.
Mm-hmm.
And for the self-employed people out there, at the end of the year, at the end of next year when they file their taxes, it could be a pretty substantial number because they don't pay theirs until the end.
Right. So John's referring to. So was it last year? Or was it the year before? I think it was last year.
Last year.
The government came up with kind of another way of doing a stimulus, which is basically what we'll do. We'll reduce the Social Security withholding by 2% temporarily. So you see more money in your check. But what does that do? I mean, Social Security is already underfunded. We just underfunded it for another whole year.
Right. And then we're overusing it.
Right.
Extending all the benefits out for
Social
Security.
But I thought all the money was in a lockbox. Isn't it all there where you can come? So anyway, we're getting our money back to normal now. So that's one you're going to notice immediately. But Nick brought up one that I didn't catch. As far so the mortgage interest is left alone.
Yeah. That was a big concern. Was are you still going to be able to take a tax deduction for mortgage interest? So three things actually were kind of kept alive, if you want to use that term. Congress reinstated the federal tax deduction for mortgage insurance. So for some individuals, it's what is that? Roughly $20 per. What what's that normally come out to, Jeff?
For
in terms
PMI?
of- yeah.
Oh, it depends on the loan to value, but it could be. I mean, your average PMI bill is probably anywhere between $125 to $300
Yeah,
a
I was
month.
gonna say
Yeah, they said
average
it-
about $200 a month.
That's right. It says insurance costs about $200 a month for a $200,000
There you go.
loan, so roughly 1%. So the tax deduction for mortgage insurance stayed in place. Mortgage debt erased through short sales and loan modifications stayed in place.
Okay.
So if you do a loan modification or a short sale, the question was whether or not you have to pay federal taxes on that loan, because basically the bank is forgiving a certain amount of money,
Yep.
and do you have to pay taxes on that? So you do not. That was extended for another year. And then again, the mortgage interest deduction that we all need so much is staying.
And housing-wise, that put a lot of people concerned at the end of last year. You know, well, gosh, if I short sell my house next month and I get a $100,000, gain to myself, that's a hurts. You
Oh,
know,
sure.
$25,000-$35,000 check you got to write. How do you do that?
Right.
So I think it's huge for short sales to keep at least these sales moving.
And I think that's what helped the sales activity at the end of last year a little bit, was people were getting that done because they were afraid that they weren't going to have enough time. But we both saw a lot of panic people at the end going, "Oh God, I'm not going to be able to hold on to this," or "I didn't get the short sale approved in time," and blah blah blah.
Right.
So did they said only well?
Yeah, it's a one. Well, it was extended for 1 year.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you are looking to do that foreclosure or that short sale, get it done.
The
Get it done this
one I
time, yeah.
actually was worried about was the PMI one, because if you have an FHA loan, all FHA loans have private or monthly mortgage insurance, and a lot of conventional financing has monthly mortgage insurance. And like John was saying, if you average a $200 a month bill on a $200,000 loan, that's pretty typical. That's $2,400 a year that you could not write off. That's a lot of dough.
That's a
Right.
lot.
Right. Well, and that's it. I mean, if you're the FHA loans require a 3.5% down payment, but they ask you to carry mortgage insurance for 5 years.
At minimum.
So
Yeah,
right.
minimum of
Minimum
5
of
years.
5 years.
At about 1.25 currently.
Right.
And that program's going to change, and I'll talk about that in a minute. There's a lot of things I think are going to change this year, and depending on which side of the table you come from, if you're not someone looking to buy, you might say, "Good, I'm glad they're going to change some of those things," because they're going to get a little more restrictive, and FHA is going to get a little tougher.
Right.
If you're trying to buy a home, and even the reverse mortgage program, some of those programs themselves are going to change. May not be to your benefit. So we'll talk about some of that, because I got a lot of little things here to talk about. We got some good news from, was it Trulia that came out with some of their report?
Trulia, yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe why you want to become a Russian citizen. We can talk about that. And the best and worst state to do business in, as ranked by Chief Executive Magazine. Of course, I subscribe to that. Never even heard of that. There's a Chief Executive Magazine?
No, it's called Maxim.
Oh, that was in the back?
Learn to read top to bottom, left to right.
Oh, if you flip it over, I guess it's Chief Executive Magazine. So if you read it backwards, we got to take our first break of the day here, and I got some text questions. I'll read those during the break. If you want to text me anything that's going on in your life, 441140. Got some questions. I will get to those. You can give us a call, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. I'm going to do this. If you're interested in doing some skiing, I've got some ski passes. We'll give out. Johnny's got a quiz question there. If you're not a skier, I still have some gym boys. We're feverishly trying to get Gym Boys back in the loop, because I'm almost out of Gym Boys passes.
Love our Gym Boys.
I know. We may have to, John and I are there once a week at least, and it's only for business purposes only.
Absolutely.
Strictly making sure product quality maintains the level, because we're not going to give away crap on this show.
And we do go to different Gym Boys just to check out
That's right.
the businesses, the buildings.
It's a rotating type of a thing. So our first quiz question of the day is?
So we're talking about 2012's best and worst ads.
Like advertisements?
Advertisements,
TV ads?
TV, any recognition out there.
Okay.
And there were some big ones in 2012. So the question is, what is either the top or the first or second ranked best ads out there in 2012?
Best ad in 2000. And I know the answer to this one, and I don't consider the number one to be an ad.
Right. It's not really an ad, but an event. What event took place that was very marketed hugely, that is potentially going to make a big change to this company in where they go?
Yeah, definitely a product placement for sure. Sure. And it wasn't the Coca-Cola bear sliding across the snow or something like that. This was huge, and actually record-setting event, really.
Actually, and amazing all at the same time.
Yep. So and you can get the other one too. The other one I did not see either, but you said you saw that one. Huh?
I did see it, and I don't know a whole lot about it.
Was it on the Super Bowl or was it?
I can't tell you.
Okay. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us if you want, 44-1140. What was kind of the biggest advertisement or the biggest product placement or the biggest, kind of corporate recognition? Those all might fit in the category for 2012. We'll give you a ski pass. We'll take the first couple winners and one off the text as well. This is Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell. That's JFOD, and that's NP3. We'll take a quick break. We're going to be
right back, Jack.
This is CBS Sports 1140.
Talkin' money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? Welcome back, Jack. First show of the new year, 2013. And we got all kinds of texts lining up. I'll read through some of these in a minute here. Our question before the break at 339-1140 or text us at 44-1140 was, what was really kind of the big, I hate to use the word ad because it wasn't really an ad, like a Super Bowl ad or a
isolated promo.
Yeah, there you go.
Marketing.
Sam, did you write that down on your hand?
I did.
Marketing guru is
Yeah. So, what was the number 2 one? What was it?
the Dollar Shave Club. And I didn't really see a lot of that, but it talks about the video showing the company's founder riding on a forklift, dancing with a man in a bear suit, and poking fun at the $13 billion razor blade market.
And so and I think it crashed his servers, and he ended up picking up like 25,000 new members. It was something ridiculous.
The company said it gained 25,000 members within the first week of posting the video. Company recently announced an additional $10 million in funding. So they're just...
and really, do you have to spend? How much are one of those real expensive razors that all the baseball players? They're probably $6-7 a piece, and I think he's right on it. It's like it shaves your face like a dollar razor does. What's the difference?
Actually, I understand you can get some very expensive razors. I can tell you guys both shaved and use these expensive ones.
I'm getting ready to go somewhere, so I'm trying to not get ready for something.
Like once I got a lot of hair in my ears, I figured I'm just going to connect them, and that way it looks like a beard that goes from ear to ear.
Right.
Isn't that a style?
Yeah, it saved you $1. Okay, so what was the number one?
The number one.
Mm-hmm.
And several listeners got it, but it is the Red Bull-sponsored Felix Baumgartner Skydive from Space. They really marketed this. It says marketers recognize social media's value, getting consumers talking about the brand. Madison Avenue went on to great lengths and heights to pull off the elaborate stunts that could generate a big online buzz and huge creation by Red Bull.
I think if you look on the other page, it said they had how many views they've had. Not as many as the guy, the South Korean side dancer, but a lot. 13 or 14 million people have viewed it or something. It was a lot, so they got a lot of views. So I'm not going to do it today, but I've got a huge article, just a huge Wall Street Journal article on Red Bull, and I can't think of a more. And if someone said right now, you got to change careers, and I'll let you go work anywhere you want to work. That would have to be one of the places if you wanted to go do something where you could be very, very creative. Don't they have their own soccer team? They own their own.
They sponsor Indy cars.
Right. They have
so many things.
Yeah, so that would be. But they're actually getting into, creating a whole production side, and I think that in the future you will see, a Red Bull studio that does its own movies. And John and I were talking last week about some of the ski movies that they've created that are just so far just online.
Well, Red Bull had NASA's equipment in order for Felix to do this jump. They also did a huge snowboarding video where they had some government military-based cameras and stuff that they use to take video of these things. Some of it's just absolutely amazing.
Maybe we should just turn the military over to Red Bull. We won't have to bomb you. We'll just get you all high on caffeinated drinks. So. Anyway, we can. Anyway, Red Bull was the answer. We did get a couple winners that want to do some skiing, so we'll do that off the text line. This is just a quick comment. We were talking about mortgage deductions and those kind of things too. And a quick text from Colin Grail, who often sits in this chair as a co-host or when I'm gone. As a little reminder, which I didn't bring up, high-income earners will have phase-outs of itemized deductions, and some will lose the mortgage interest deduction entirely. Right, so you get into the alternative minimum tax, you get into other issues where once your income hits a certain point, you're no longer going to be able to write off maybe all of your interest or maybe even any of it, and other things will start to go away rapidly. So for most people, that probably won't affect them, but if you start getting, I'm not sure if the number was 250 or if it was more like 400, but there is a point where you start to lose some of the advantages of the write-offs, and So keep that in mind, and that doesn't apply to everybody, but it applies to certainly some people. Off the text at 441140. Jeff, we have a Fannie Mae loan refinanced using HARP 1 to 5%. That would have been a year and a half ago probably. Anything on the horizon that might allow us to refinance again and take advantage of even lower rates? For HARP people, the answer so far is no. You can always, if you're not upside down, you can always pay the loan down a little bit and get it into the 80% category if you want to do that. But there is a program being bandied about now for everybody else who wasn't HARP. So people who didn't have a Fannie or a Freddie or FHA, VA, I guess a little bit would fall in there. So people that didn't have anybody that owned their mortgage or any government entity that owned their mortgage. So basically, your loan is owned by Wells.
Was Jumbo put in that ad too, right?
Yeah. So anything that's not considered a government sponsored loan. So that's really a portfolio loan. Wells or Bank of America or Chase or somebody has your mortgage and you've been left out of the process so far. There's a lot of you that have been left out of that. There is a proposal on the table. The administration considering expanding its mortgage refinance programs to include borrowers whose mortgages aren't backed by the government and who owe more than their homes are worth, according to people familiar with such discussions. And the plan is to put those loans into the Fannie Freddie program and let people who are upside down, who do not have a government-backed loan now, refinance. And that would be, there's probably, let's see here, percentage of all homes that are underwater by quarter. So about a quarter of all homes in the U.S. are still underwater. That doesn't mean those are non-Fannie or Freddie loans, though. So there's a lot of people that have been left out, been very, very frustrated. You may be one of them. You've been making your payments, your rate's 6-something, or you're upside down and you can't refinance. So here's one of the programs that you could say, okay, this is genius or this is idiocy. If you're in the mortgage business, like us, I probably would say it's both. It's genius and it's idiocy because it would be good for our business, but I don't think it would be good. And it would be good for many people who are really struggling or deserve a lower rate. And I use that word liberally, but I feel for the people who have done the right thing, have stayed in their house, stuck with it, made their payments, didn't walk away, didn't short sale. Not their fault. They didn't have a Fannie or Freddie loan. I mean, it just is.
I mean, and we could get into Trulia now too. I mean, look at Phoenix, whose their listing price market went up 26% in 2012.
Right.
So, okay, maybe you're underwater. You jump 26% in a year. What happens next year? So, and all of a sudden you're forgiving hundreds and hundreds of, millions of dollars.
Well, keep in mind now they're not proposing to forgive anything. They're proposing so if Nick owes. So, and it doesn't have to be a jumbo loan. Nick could have done a stated income loan 7 years ago, and that wouldn't have been a Fannie or Freddie loan. And so he's got a house that's $300,000, and the house is worth $2 million. And his rate's at 6.5, and the rest of the world's at 3.5. And here he is writing a check every month. He's sticking with it, but he just doesn't have. There isn't a program for him to say, yeah, come on in. So this is basically saying to the Nicks of the world. Okay, bring your loan over to Fannie and Freddie. We'll take your loan. We're not going to forgive the balance. We're not going to write it down. We're not going to do anything. But we're going to let you come into whatever the current HARP pricing is. So maybe that's 4. Okay. So Nick goes from 6.5 to 4. Well, on the one hand, Perjanic probably sticks with his house now. All of a sudden he's going, dang, I was, and so he has 2 alternatives also. He has the ability to say, okay, give me another 30-year fixed. I've been in there 7 years. So he goes from 6.5 to 4, and he goes from 23 years to 30. So that combination of drops his payment $400, and so now, or he says, okay, I'll just take a 15-year fix and I'll get rid of this thing even quicker. So there's a couple combinations there, but now the Perjanic house is probably not at risk anymore of being one that goes into foreclosure or short sale. He's like, I've been writing $2,000 checks payments all along. I can do $1,600 with my eyes closed. So I see the good side of it because that's one more house that probably won't, unless he loses his job or is hit by a bus, that house will be good. But we've now taken the Perjanic house. We had no obligation as the U.S. taxpayer at all for the Perjanic loan. Wells Fargo did, or B of A did, or Chase did. That wasn't our problem. We've now made it our problem. So going forward, if Nick loses his job or can't make his payments, even though they're lower, we're now on the hook for having to deal with his house. So there's a plus and a minus to both sides. My gut reaction is that the people that we're talking about, for the most part, have had these loans for a long time. Most of them are making their payments on time. Most of them have good credit. Most of them have no intention of leaving. And as John says, most of them are probably, hopefully, maybe a couple, 3 years from at least getting back to near break even. And when someone gets near break even, there's just no way they're going to let the house go, unless there's a catastrophe. So I think that this program probably has some legs to it. I think it probably will come around. And I think you should keep your eyes and ears open if that's you. And as John mentioned, does it include jumbo? I think that it does. It does. It does not say in here that it's limited to loan amounts, but Fannie and Freddie have loan amount limits. So I don't know what would happen if Nick had a $500,000 loan and the limit for his county is $474,000. I don't know if they would take that loan or not. That hasn't been discussed. But there's enough people in that category I think that would help. So if you're interested in that, listen to the show or email me. I actually already started creating a database of people who are interested in that because I can immediately notify them if something happens. So it's interesting, but I do think that is a group of people that will be picked up this year.
That'd be nice.
And we'll give them some help a little bit. So before I know we got to take one more break, but the Trulia thing, where did Sacramento come out on that?
Sacramento came out as number 8 as far as a big year for certain markets. Asking price increases from 2011 to 2012 in the 100 largest metro areas.
So like who else? Here, okay, I have that list. So Vegas was number 1.
Yeah.
Seattle, Phoenix, Oakland, and San Jose both were in there. Salt Lake City, Atlanta, Sacramento, Fresno, and Tacoma. Okay, I got it. And if you look at that, Sacramento prices improved by 9.5% last year. And if you look at the year before, 11, they actually were down 8.5% the year before. So
17%
that's
sway.
a pretty good swing
18%.
there. Yeah. And so I do think we're on the right path. Here's why it's taking so darn long. There's nothing to buy.
Right.
And people keep saying, well, asking prices are coming up, and so my appraisal should be coming up. If we were in a normal market, I would agree with you. I mean, if there was 50 homes for sale in your price range and each one of them was going a little higher, then you're right. We could watch it month by month go up about 1.5 points, boom, boom, boom. And the appraisers could use that logic. But right now, John makes an offer on a house and 6 months later it gets accepted and there was 55 people all make an offer on it and one got sold. There isn't enough activity yet, not because there isn't enough demand, there's not enough supply to keep generating price increases.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and we're not seeing it on the refi appraised values.
No,
it's not there.
And so if you're doing a refinance on your house or doing an appraisal on your house, and I tell people this all the time, do not mistake the value on that appraisal for what you would sell me that house for.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, at that price right there, there'd be 35 people on your grass trying to pay cash. So the price of that house is way higher than that. But from a refinance purposes, I don't have anybody else that's been able to get one sold yet. So that's the problem. We got to take another quick break here. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Here's our quick quiz question if you want to jump in. And Manuel, hold on there. I promise I got to look at the phones too there.
So they're coming out with the Ultra HD television set.
Yeah.
84-inch.
Yeah.
84-inch Ultra high-definition set.
Uh-huh.
What are they priced at for Sony and Toshiba? What's the price of this beautiful
84-inch Ultra
HD?
You can't have HD. You got to have Ultra HD, dude. I just bought a flat screen TV the other day at Fry's to put out in our garage for $249.
Nice.
It was an LCD. I think it's the same thing that your Christmas lights come out with. If I drop it, it's probably dead. But anyway, different story. I'm guessing they're a little bit more than that. How much is the 84-inch Ultra HD TV? This is Talkin' Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell with Jay Fod and Nick Perjanik. We'll be
right back.
Talkin' Money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
All right. Welcome back. Sitting in the baby seat here across from Jeff Tarbell is Nick Perjanik with John Fod. John Fod, it just doesn't sound right. But hey, good morning. It is a Saturday morning. Jeff, we got what? One more week of 1 hour? Then we go
no, we got a couple.
February
more.
9th.
February 9th, we
go
go
back
to 2 hours.
Yep.
So for all you slackers that need to sleep in and want a little rock and roll music to wake you up at 10 o'clock.
That may be me. I might just show up to hour 2 only.
That's it?
I might just show up. How you doing?
Good, Jeff. Hey, let's go ahead and take a caller.
We got the. What was the answer though?
Nope. We're going to take a caller.
This is my
You said
show.
I'm opening the show. Take a caller.
Did we get some answers to that?
All right, go ahead.
We got two winners.
So the 84-inch ultra high definition TV set by Sony and LG, anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000.
Put me down for 2.
Or you could get your $250. How many inch?
It was a 30.
And you buy like
It was a 39.
8 of them and hook them together.
yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was a 39-inch LED, which is the same thing that's on your Christmas lights, and it was like at Fry's, and it literally was like a couple $100, and it literally you could pick it up by one hand. It weighs nothing. I'm sure the thing will last.
My question is, do you now have to buy Ultra HD service?
You must. Oh, see, they're gonna. It's a scam. The whole thing is a scam. Let's get to Manuel. You there?
Yep, I'm here.
Sorry about that. We had you on hold for a long time. I apologize. What's happening?
No problem. I never complain when I get free advice.
There you go.
I was signing loan docs 2 days ago, and the notary lady was telling me, and she says, for every extra payment you make takes 7 years off your mortgage. And I kind of looked at her and said, well, hey, I'll make 7 extra payments right now. Take off 30 years.
Yeah.
You owe me.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me. So I wanted to call and see if she was. I have another question too after this.
Yeah, a little bit of information is dangerous. She was almost right, which is like I'm almost a radio star, just a bit outside. The answer is if you one extra payment per year, or an extra 10% of each payment, will take 7 years off a 30-year mortgage, roughly. So you can accomplish. So you'll see it a few ways. You'll see a biweekly payment. So if you pay every 2 weeks, so not twice a month, but every 2 weeks, because you get in 26 half payments or 13 full payments.
Yeah.
Or you can take. So let's say, for example, your principal and interest payment was $1,500, not taxes and insurance, just the principal and interest. If you send in an extra $150 a month, an extra 10% each month, you will accomplish the same thing of getting an extra payment in. So it does work, and it's a very good lesson, Manuel, on the time value of money. Because you're right, it seems ridiculous that it's not that much more, and it does take off a tremendous amount of time off the loan. So that is she was almost accurate, accurate.
So I can make 5 additional payments and have my mortgage taken off that quick.
You can make for every additional payment you make per year. So if you're able to expedite and send in principal reduction payments up front, it comes right, and you have to tell the lender, I want these as a principal reduction. Yes. So it'll take your balance down, and what happens is you keep paying the same original payment on now a smaller balance, and it just starts to accumulate much quicker. So.
Well, and there's going to be a slight difference. Let's just say you had a 30-year loan and your payments were $1,000 a month. If you sent in $11,000 a year, or I'm sorry, $13,000 a year, you'd lower that loan by roughly 7 years. But if you paid 5 extra payments at the beginning of the year, the very first year, right, now you've lowered the principal earlier.
Right.
You're applying that $1,000 you're going to pay each year all up front, and actually lowered the amount, it would change it from 7 years to maybe 7.5 years.
Now, Manuel has it backwards in his head a little bit because he's thinking
make one payment.
One payment takes 7 years off. It's one extra payment every single year
month.
for 23 years.
Oh, okay.
Because believe me, I could go in and write 30 payments right now and be done with this damn thing if we could work it out that way.
Yeah. So each and every month or each year make that 10% additional payment.
And sometimes the biweekly payments that you hear about are, make 26 payments that are half of your normal mortgage. So in essence, you are making 13 payments. You have to look at that too and say, do I want to be forced to be making that extra payment? Is there a benefit? Am I getting some kind of interest rate deduction? Am I getting something? Because if money does get tight, you're still stuck with those 26 payments.
Yeah,
sometimes being able to do the monthly payments with that option of sending it in if you can is a better option.
Manuel, I'm going to put you on hold, Manuel. We'll give you either some either Ski Pass or some Gym Boys if you'll take Manuel there. So I want one quick caution for you. Everybody who gets a new mortgage gets something in the mail from an outside company saying we'll do biweekly payments for you. My advice is don't do that.
Right. If
you cannot do a biweekly payment through your existing lender,
don't do it.
Don't do it. You can do the same thing by establishing an extra 10% of each payment on an auto pay, or
marked specifically to principal.
Yep. Or you can just scratch a check every month. If you're writing a check for your payment every month, add on 10% of the principal and interest portion and send it in as additional principal. You can do it. The reason I say don't use an outside company is because if they don't send your money in on time, they're not late, you are. If they walk away, you're screwed. Your lender has nothing to do with it. So I try to avoid the outside services if you can.
Do those outside services charge a fee? Is there some kind of...
Well, they're getting the interest off your money.
Yeah, that's right. They're holding the interest on your extra payment. So
yeah. And one other thing I'll say to Manuel and everybody else who's looking at making extra principal payments, and I totally am for that, but that better be the last thing on your list of things you need to accomplish. And what I mean is if you've got a 4% mortgage and you're getting some sort of a write-off, you're probably paying 2.5% to 3% net interest. Look around you. Are you paying credit card debt?
Absolutely.
Got an auto loan? You got kids getting ready to go to college? I mean, is there anything else in your life that needs to be funded first? Do you have savings?
Yeah, another recommendation I always say, too, is instead of putting it towards your principal, put it to a side savings account. The reason this is, if you ever lose your job, you ever need that additional, you can't just go ahead easily and pull it back out of your home. Typically, when you need the loan is when you don't qualify for it.
Right. Good point. And I can count on one finger, it's this one in the middle, the number of clients I have that probably have enough money to go 1 year without income, and that may be only half a finger. So if you got to think about having some reserve set aside. It doesn't have to be sitting in a checking and savings account. Now we only take the two. Now we go right to the end. One other thing I want to bring up. This came up twice this week. A will is not a trust. Let me say that again. A will is not a trust. A will doesn't prevent you from going to probate. A will doesn't solve the problems that can occur if you pass away and your house is not in a trust. Now, it does lay out that, if I pass away, then Johnny gets the house and Nikki gets the cars and this gets the cash, and that's all great, and that will help. But it doesn't mean that your estate doesn't have to go through probate, because it will have to. And I had some people I've known very, very for almost all my life this week call me and say, well, I want to set up I want a living will. And I said, that's great, but you have a house with a mortgage on it. Someone's got to scratch a check for the mortgage every month, and a trust is such an inexpensive manner of making sure that things are done properly, that your estate can handle their own affairs on their own. And I'm not talking to most of you as a listener. I'm talking to you to go talk to your parents, because many of them think that they can just jot down what they want to go to you and go to your brothers and your sisters and who it's going to go to, and that's all fine if everybody agrees, for one, and they don't sue each other, which is another story. But the state of California is going to stick their fat face in your business for about a year. It's going to be the most expensive, least quality legal work you're ever going to get. And in the meantime, you can't sell the house that mom left you. You can't probably take some money out of a different account. You can't do anything in the meantime.
It's a big waiting game on the state.
It is. And
for a fee, I mean, you're probably looking at $1,000 to $3,000
on a small estate. Easy.
On a small estate, not much involved. House, set it up, get it done, have it notarized,
and put a will in there, what you want to have, and put your medical directive in there that says, hey, if I'm not going to live a quality life, what do you want to have happen to you? Put all those things in there. That's all good, but it's got to be in a trust. And I can't tell you how many people I ask, I don't need a trust. I don't have that much net worth. You don't have to have that much net worth. You have to have $100,000, I think.
Let the state tie your house up for 6 months to a year, and you're waiting, and it's horrible.
And number two, for those of you that are parents that maybe are thinking about this for your kids, leaving your kid a house, unless it's free and clear, is not leaving them anything. And this is such a hard discussion to have. And I do a tremendous volume of reverse mortgages lately. I've probably done more in the last 18 months than I have in my entire 20-year career. I'll probably do more this month than I did in the. I mean, it is. They're very, very popular, but I'm getting a better and better glance at people that are retirees and things. And I want to leave my Nikki this house. Well, first off, Nikki doesn't want that house. The house is a piece of crap. And you never say this, but it's in the neighborhood. And secondly, if you give Nick a house, You give Nick a $300,000 house with a $200,000 mortgage on it. Nick can't afford another $200,000 in mortgage. And it's going to take, some period of time. Now he's got to write the check to keep it paid.
Clean out all the stuff.
It takes some time. And now, so what I'm saying is, if you're going to leave Nick the house, leave him some money. And how do you leave somebody some money if you don't have any? You leave him a small life insurance policy as part of the deal. And that's one of the things that we do we look at in the reverses is that can we take a little bit of the cash equity out of that house and give you a way of getting some cash or getting a life insurance policy? Because I cannot tell you how many kids come to me, parents have passed away. Here's the house, it's part of the estate. I've got a house, I've got cars, I've got things, and there's no cash, there's no money. And how many of you can take on an extra $200,000 in debt? Raise your hand. There aren't many of you, and they would want to. So in many cases, the house gets lost because they say, "Screw it, I'm not gonna kill myself to try to get the equity out of this house if I can get it, if I can get it sold." So unless that place is sitting on the coast or sitting on Lake Tahoe or some kind of Class A type of a building, even then, if you really want your family to hold on to that thing, you got to give them some cash. And it is such a difficult discussion to have but it is a discussion you need to have with your parents and your family or your kids, and preferably while you're healthy and it's not such an important deal.
Yeah, because for the siblings, it's such a nice thing to sit there and, once you're making these decisions, who's going to take care of my kids, who's the house going to, once it's done, it's such a good feeling. And for the kids, they're like, okay, we understand now. They're not fighting, well, what's in the will? What's in the trust? And then they find out there's nothing, or they're arguing over things. If you can get that set up in advance, just do it.
And there is a way, and
I think Nike said that.
Just do it.
Just do it.
And we've now veered way to the right here, but that's okay. There is a way with and the reason without giving away too much, just to say a family I've known almost my entire life, and the way mom wants to distribute her assets and things. Maybe she's told the kids and maybe she hasn't. If she hasn't, it's going to be a hell of a shock. And certainly there are instances in life where maybe John's my son and I've been putting him through college and I've been giving him money and I bought him a new car. Damn it, I've been helping that kid every 5 minutes. He's over here. And I feel like I've already done enough for John, and I never hear from Nick. I mean, not in a bad way, but Nick never asked for anything. And so at the end of my days, I got two boys here, and I say, you know what? I've been helping John every 5 minutes, which I'm happy to do, but I've got the house here. It's got $150,000. I'm going to leave the house to Nick. And because that's in my mind, it equals out. And boom, I get hit by a bus, and Nick and John show up sad at the funeral home, wearing black, look sad, and they sit down with the attorney afterwards, and the attorney says, "John, I'm sorry about your father. Be talking to you later. Nick, can you hang around for a few minutes? I want to go over the deed with you." And John flips a lid. This is BS, and so John contests the whole thing and sues Nick and sues, within the framework of a good trust plan, you can deal with that, and you can deal with those kind of issues, and you can put poison pills in there if you will. If John sues the estate, whatever he was going to get, he doesn't get, and there are ways to resolve that rather than scratching him out on a little simple will. And I think if you're going to go to that real extreme where you've got kids getting differential things, doing it in front of an attorney or a third party would be very helpful.
Yes.
Very helpful that we understand why we're doing it.
And what's one of the golden rules? Life is not fair.
Life is not fair. And if you marry Oprah, you'll be rich. And you can marry more money in a minute and you can make it a lifetime. Rules of the Talkin' Money Show. That music means we got to giddy on up. I didn't even get to the fact that we might see. I'll have to say this is a quiz question for next week. I'll give you a little teaser on it because there was a good article this week. Which country has the highest personal income tax rates in the world? We'll put that in your book for next week, so you can think about that during the week. And they came up because France is up in that list, and Gerard Depardieu is going to become a Russian citizen because their tax rates are lower than the French, so he's going to move over. And we might see a few people. Maybe some of the Microsoft guys will become Russian. I don't know.
I was reading an article today on best places to retire. Best places to retire.
Texas?
Yeah, no.
No, okay. We got to go. Hey, you can find the show every week on our Talkin' Money Facebook page. We put the best of on there. The best of section's about 4.5, 15 seconds. It's very quick. And it's actually just one of the ads I think we run. So we got to go. You can find us at Talkin Money, the Facebook Talkin Money page, or JeffTarbell.com. For John Fodero, Nick Perjanik, my name is Jeff Tarbell. We'll catch you next week, everybody. Aloha.
Talkin' money.